A question that keeps coming up in the forums is, are micro four thirds lenses overpriced? The cost of a micro four thirds lens can range anywhere from as little as $100 or $200 for a pancake, all the way up to $2,500 for an Olympus 300mm f4 lens. One thing that is certain is that micro four thirds users are spoiled for choice when it comes to the range of focal lengths and range of prices. Some people contend that micro four thirds lenses shouldn't cost as much as full frame lenses for two reasons. One, they say that full frame lenses are optically superior to micro four thirds lenses, citing the fact that many micro four thirds lenses have their optical aberrations corrected for in firmware in the body. The other reason they say is that micro four thirds lenses aren't adaptable to any other system. But number one, stills photographers have been correcting for things like pincushion distortion, barrel distortion, chromatic aberration, and vignetting in Lightroom for years. One of the chief advantages of micro four thirds cameras, aside from their small size, is the fact that you can adapt almost any lens in the world to a micro four thirds camera. Regardless of their optical and build quality, does the fact that my Fuji X-mount lenses, of which I own about a half a dozen, some of which cost as much as $1,200, the fact that they're not adaptable to any other system, does that make them not worth purchasing? Which brings us to the premium lenses. It's not uncommon to hear people ask, but are premium lenses worth it? After all, most of the premium lenses we're talking about run $1,200 and up. It's hardly surprising that many people aren't even sure whether a premium lens is worthwhile. For example, one popular website, which has a list of the 35 best lenses for the micro four thirds system, surprisingly rates the Panasonic 14 to 42mm f3.5 to 5.6 higher than either the Olympus 75mm f1.8 or the Leica 12mm f1.4, which obviously is absurd. And furthermore, if you look on YouTube or Vimeo and try to find examples of work shot with these lenses, I'm not talking about stills, I'm talking about video. First of all, there are very few videos shot with some of these premium lenses, so it's very difficult to find examples. And secondly, many of the examples shot with these lenses are of inferior quality. Now, I'm not about to deny that there aren't instances of what some people would say is price gouging. For example, if a manufacturer outsources its work to a factory in Thailand or China or Vietnam and charges a premium price like $1,200 or more for one of their lenses, if they're manufacturing the lens in a factory where workers are only paid $200 a month, that they should try to pass that cost savings along to the consumer. Also, there are certain expectations that come along with purchasing a premium lens. We expect it to be weather sealed for one thing, dust proof, maybe freeze proof now, and we also expect the lens to be made completely of metal with no plastic at all. And not just any metal. In fact, a few years ago when I purchased my first Lumix zoom lenses, the 12 to 35mm f2.8 and the 35 to 100mm f2.8, I was extremely disappointed in the build quality. Why? Because the numbers and letters were not engraved, so that after a year or two, the numbers and letters were starting to wear off from the lens. And while the lens was made of metal, it felt like plastic. It seemed to be made of some kind of a tin or something, not from a high quality metal. I have plastic lenses that have withstood the test of time better than some of my metal lenses. There's also something which I guess I would call the principle of balance. So for example, from the time I was very young, I started collecting audio gear, turntables, reel-to-reel tape decks, speakers, preamplifiers, and so on. And I learned even as a child that it didn't really make sense to invest, for example, $600 in a turntable and only spend $50 on a cartridge, or to spend $200 on an amplifier and to spend $1,000 on speakers. And I think the same principle applies to photography. If you're going to be purchasing a $2,000 camera body, I have no problem investing in a lens that costs half as much as the camera body, because we usually hold on to lenses indefinitely, but we change camera bodies every 2 or 3 years. Wouldn't it make more sense to invest in premium lenses and spend a little bit less on a camera body? It mustn't be forgotten that there are numerous bargains to be had in the Micro Four Thirds lens system as well. For those not needing the extra speed of the premium lenses, there are many cheaper alternatives. For example, rather than the Leica 42.5mm f1.2, Panasonic makes an excellent 42.5mm f1.7 lens. Rather than the Leica 25mm f1.4, there's a 25mm f1.7. Olympus also makes an affordable 25mm f1.8. There are many affordable Cine lens options for the Micro Four Thirds system as well, starting with the extremely affordable Rokinon lenses, which run around $400 a piece. Then moving up a little, there's the SLR Magic, which makes Cine lenses for as little as $400 or $500, I believe. And then going up to Vedra, which makes Cine lenses for around $800 a piece. First, I want to say that the Panasonic Image app is a complete joke. That I've been filming with the Image app now for weeks, and I spend hours and hours just trying to get it to connect with the camera. It's just my entire day is wasted trying to get the Image app to work properly. And if you go to the apps page, the Apple apps page, and you look at the user comments on there, many photographers have complained about the Image app, but Panasonic refuses to do anything about it. In a previous video, I complained that the RodeLink microphone only lasted a couple hours on a set of alkaline batteries, but it turns out I was mistaken. The batteries I had must have been old. Recently, I've been using the RodeLink, and I've been getting several days of use out of one set of alkaline batteries.